There's a car that Toyota quietly discontinued, then watched the internet spend the next decade begging for it back. Used copies started selling for $50,000. Fan renders went viral every few months. And Toyota just sat there, silent. Until now. Because the revival is finally real, and before you get too excited, there are a few things about this story that aren't making the headlines. Let's start with something that's been confusing people since day one. This is not called the FJ Cruiser. Toyota officially named it the Land Cruiser FJ, and that distinction matters more than it sounds. The FJ badge now stands for freedom and joy, and Toyota has deliberately positioned this as the fourth member of the Land Cruiser family, sitting below the 300, the 250, and the 70 series. This isn't a nostalgia product with a familiar sticker. Toyota is treating this as a serious addition to one of the most respected off-road bloodlines in automotive history. That's either a very bold promise or a very heavy burden to carry, and when you see it in person, the design does not look like it's carrying any burden at all. Toyota's internal name for the styling is Playful Dice, a chamfered square body, short overhangs, upright stance, and two completely different face options depending on the trim. One version wears retro round headlights pulled straight from the FJ40 era. The other runs a sharp modern C-clamp light signature. Toyota also revealed 4 concept builds: the Meridian, the Nature Explorer, the Legendary, and the Street Cruiser, each one showing a wildly different direction owners could take the platform. The Legendary sits on chrome-style steelies with classic Land Cruiser fender badges. The Street Cruiser is lowered. Yes, lowered. Whatever type of buyer you are, Toyota apparently wants you to feel seen. But style is the easy part. What happens when the road ends? This is where the Land Cruiser FJ starts to make a real argument for itself. The platform underneath is Toyota's IMV ladder frame, the same architecture that holds up the Hilux pickup and the Fortuner. Body-on-frame construction, not the soft unibody setup hiding under most adventure-looking crossovers. The wheelbase is short enough to deliver a tight turning radius that Toyota claims rivals some UTVs on the trail. Most importantly, Toyota has gone on record comparing this vehicle's wheel articulation to the 70 series Land Cruiser. If you know Land Cruiser history, you understand exactly what that comparison means. The 70 series is the one they still send into war zones. Comparing the FJ to that standard is not a casual statement. But then you open the hood, and things get complicated. Under that purposeful, tough-looking body sits a 2.7-liter naturally aspirated engine producing 161 horsepower. That number alone isn't the problem. The problem is where you've seen this engine before. It's the same unit that powers the entry-level, base-spec Hilux work truck, the one people buy for farm duties and construction sites. In a vehicle that Toyota is trying to sell as a premium off-road icon with a storied legacy, leading with a budget workhorse engine is a choice that has not gone unnoticed in enthusiast communities. And here's where it gets worse. A turbodiesel option, the 2.8-liter unit that would actually make this thing exciting, has been confirmed. But it's not arriving until 2029. 3 years away. No hybrid has been officially announced either. So the version going on sale right now is the version with the least exciting powertrain it will ever have. Toyota's reasoning appears to be emissions compliance. Buying time to engineer a cleaner, more advanced setup for a vehicle they intend to sell well into the 2030s. That's smart long-term thinking. But it's cold comfort if you're sitting in a showroom today. And speaking of showrooms, here's the part of this story that hit the hardest when it came out. A journalist asked Toyota's chief engineer, Masaya Uchiyama, about plans for North America and Europe. His answer was direct: there are no plans for America or Europe. The start point for this is the Global South. That's a quote. The Land Cruiser FJ was designed from day one for markets in Southeast Asia, the Middle East, South America, and Africa. Not for the American enthusiasts who spent years making FJ Cruiser content go viral. Not for the European buyers willing to pay Defender money for something rawer and more honest. The people who arguably kept this nameplate culturally alive, by buying used ones for $50,000, by watching every render video, by flooding comment sections, are currently not on the confirmed market list. There's speculation about a rebadged version eventually arriving as a Land Cruiser Sport for Western markets. But right now that is just speculation. For the markets that are getting it, the pricing lands in a genuinely interesting place. Highland's launch price sits at approximately $38,100 USD, which puts it in striking distance of a base Wrangler at $36K and below a base Bronco at $40K, while undercutting the Defender by roughly $25,000. If that pricing structure holds across other markets, Toyota has found a real gap. The original FJ Cruiser is now fetching $50,000 for clean used examples, which tells you everything about how much pent-up demand exists for this nameplate. Whether the new one commands that same long-term loyalty will depend almost entirely on whether Toyota addresses the powertrain gap before the nostalgia momentum runs out. So here's where this actually lands. The Land Cruiser FJ is a genuinely impressive piece of engineering for what it's trying to do. The platform is legitimate. The design earns its tough reputation. The off-road credentials are not marketing fiction, but it arrives underpowered, without the diesel or hybrid that would complete the package, built exclusively for markets that weren't the loudest voices asking for it, with a 3-year wait for the engine most serious buyers actually want. Toyota hasn't built a bad vehicle. They've built the right vehicle at the wrong spec, for a launch window that rewards patience over excitement. The question isn't whether the Land Cruiser FJ will eventually be great. It almost certainly will be. The question is whether the version available right now is worth what they're asking, or whether the smarter move is to wait until 2029, when Toyota finally gives it the heart to match the name. Drop your take in the comments. Would you buy it now or wait for the diesel? And if you're not subscribed yet, you're going to miss what's coming next.